Hello, humans! This is McCoy, and welcome to another episode of the Euphonos Legacy League Tour podcast, League of Legends Champions. Last time, where we recapped Week 1, and now we're going to discuss Week 2. Week 2, I would like to call this the theme of unfortunate status effects, because brother, there's a lot of status effects that went out in this damn week, that a lot of things decided matchups, but some matchups that didn't ultimately matter, but there were pretty much highlights and funny moments nonetheless. So, let's go through the matchups and see what happens, shall we? Especially since it's the middle of the Euphonos League. Let's see what happens. So, first off, we have the Radioactive Sligoo Project beating the Apom Hiking Society. Not a very good look for the Apoms right now, considering they're at the bottom of the leaderboard, having lost Week 1 and now losing again in Week 2. It's a very unfortunate circumstances that led to this score being settled. But let's go through the match, shall we, and see what went wrong. First off, we have the multi-gen OU between Hori and Ineros. So this game only really showcased one Mon and one's Mon sweeping abilities in order to decide the matchup. So in this case, it was if they can ultimately skip through these, because these first few turns really don't matter. I mean, there were some rocks set up, and then there's some defoggers. Garchomp was brought in a lot, Slowbro was running a lot, but it was just a lot of pivoting really early on, trying to get some leverage for either one player to see if they can be able to catch some sort of misfire at some point. There you saw a Slowbro tried to go Ice Beam on a Garchomp switch in, but unfortunately, Hori stayed in with Jirachi. There you go. So Greninja, it really only showcased one Mon, and this was the Mon. So Greninja was able to catch a Ferrothorn going to a hard switch, so he was able to sack. So Ineros was unfortunately having to sack the Ferrothorn, so that Greninja will activate Battle Bond and become Ash Greninja. And Ash Greninja was a sweet machine, let's to say the least, and good job Hori for switching out there, just to prevent a disastrous from happening. After a while, Heatran was switched out in and out a lot to be able to die to rocks right here. That was a necessary sack for Ineros to just try to bring in Alakazam. But unfortunately, Hori played this a bit too well, and yeah, he was just able to beat Ineros down. I mean, the Dark Pulses, between the multiple Dark Pulses and the multiple attempts, even Hori had to mention you ran into the worst MU ever. It really just was one Mon versus the world, and yeah, Ineros lost pretty handily to Ash Greninja, which continued to sweep and ultimately won. Gen 9 fared a little better, but not by much. Ineros still had one Mon to worry about, and then the rest were just support, basically. Hori looked strong, very strong here. So, Great Tusk was able to, it was trying to rapid spin and Ice Spinner on Moltres, who punished it by burning it in return with Flame Body. After surviving a Flamethrower on 1 HP, it was just basically enough to just Flamethrower it and kill it. Clefable was able to avoid Dragon Pulse Thunder Wave attempt by letting itself get toxic, while Hori was able to use Gliscor to his advantage, and this Gliscor was a mean one. It set up the Swords Dance right there. Facade was doing a ton of damage, and then Terra Normal along the way to block Darkrai's Ice Beam attempt to just Oko crit it. Didn't matter, but it was still a thing to see and say. This Gliscor was scary, y'all. Even Pecharunt, who was basically the last shot at being an attempt, other than, his own Gliscor and potentially Clefable, but that also died pretty handily to a Facade. So all that's left was a Pecharunt and his own Gliscor to take down that nasty Sword Stance Gliscor, which Inaris didn't really have an answer for. So after the fact, Hori took the win. Very well. Next up is Shingest Man in the World versus Blazing Cloud Real 420. The hat. Shing versus Blazing in the other multi-gen OU, this time 4, 5, and 6, starting off with the Sinnoh OU, DPP OU, where credit to Shing here for bringing an interesting little thing, a thing called the Smeargle lead, where Blazing took the first kill and blasted the Smeargle with a nasty Thunderbolt while it was asleep, proving itself to be a useful sleep talker. The rest talk set with sleep talk. Shing then started setting up hazards and Dragon Dance Tyranitar and putting it to good use, beating Jirachi after this Earthquake attempt, which was nice, and then tanked the Skarmory's Drill Peck's well, even beating Blazing's own Tyranitar with an Earthquake after lowering its defense with Crunch. Very nice. Metagross then boosted itself with Meteor Mash Agility, which was a crazy set. It's a Meteor Mash Agility, which can definitely sweep through Blazing's team if he was not careful, before Latias eventually roared it out for good measure. Draco Meteor was able to kill Latias very convincingly too. And then Skarmory died to a Fire Blast, and then Blazing forfeited. Shing had a very strong Dragonite there. Next up was Gen 6 OU. And this one started off pretty unfortunate for Shing, because not only did he try to go for a toxic strat against switching into Gliscor, who was the most definitely willing to take that toxic and give it the poison heal, the good old poison heal. Turn 4 was an unfortunate first step here, because Excadrill was frozen. Couldn't really do anything with a frozen Excadrill against the Clefable. Very unfortunate there. Then Volcanion came on and tried to do most of the attacking, and Clefable managed to tank most of their hits well, healing itself off and Calm Minding right here after taking that Steam Eruption very nicely. Calm Mind and then Sludge Wave was able to survive that, and then was able to beat Megalopony later on, which was nice. Surviving that frustration. Shing was definitely channeling that Megalopony with that frustration attempt because of the Excadrill, and ultimately Moonblast killed it. And then Mega Alakazam took out that Excadrill with a Focus Blast shortly after the Volcanion was dead. And Ferrothorn was able to chip Bisharp enough with Iron Barbs for Rotom, eventually killed the Thundurus with a Volt Switch. So Blazing got his win back in the most unconventional ways, but it was quite the event, shall we say. Next up is Gen 5 OU, where this one started off weird, and even Shing had to note that those early turns on Black and White were pretty weird. I have to agree. because this man, Blazing's Jellicent, tried to go for Will-O-Wisp, but missed against the Garchomp, but was able to set up rocks. And Sword Stance, it missed again. Outrage, was able to tank that Outrage, missed again. killing the Jellicent afterwards. Jesus Christ. And then Alakazam tried to Hidden Power Ice it, go for the Yachi Berry, bringing it down to Sash level, eventually killing it with Psyshock, which was a very weird start. A very weird start to an otherwise black and white game, where we saw Breloom sweep through, low sweeping through Hippowdon to beat it. And then Starmie was able to rapid spin away hazards before eventually dying to Clef. And Scizor superpowered Skarmory. Yeah, with a Swords Dance. With a Swords Dance boosted superpower onto Skarmory, who was sturdy, and then killed it and itself with Brave Bird, which is really funny. Let's show you this turn right now. So Skarmory was able to click sturdy. I went for Brave Bird, and guess what? Starmie was on 1 HP. It was unnecessary, Sec, but it left Blazing with only 2 mons to deal with Shing's 3. The Alakazam was to die to a Mach Punch from Breloom, and Clefable was basically alone to deal with Breloom, and so Blazing forfeited. Was it a GG? Yeah, meh. I call it meh. But it was still a very good performance by Shing, and I'm happy. Next up, we have the Kamove Chaos kerfuffle between Banded Body Press and Class. Wah wah wee wah, this game is wah wah wee wah. So, we have the start, which was the Class using the Rain team, as you can see here, against Banded Body Press, who used Bulk. Used Bulk. So Class started off with a Politoed, went on to set the Rain up against the Latias, who then used Liquidation to nearly kill it. Eventually killing Latias, eventually O-coded in return as punishment for Thunder Cage, which was bad. It did die to a Mineral, and yeah, the omen was that Mineral unfortunately cost Class the rest of the game, as Banded Body Press kind of coasted the rest of the game all the way, because look at here, that Colossal surviving a boosted Magnezone's Electro Drift to then steal the boost with Spectral Thief, and Alakazam, who beat Politoed with a nice Torch Song and Volt Switch, sacking Zeraora in the process as well. Toxapex eventually beat Volcanion with a crit 1000 Waves, so that was something. And then Toxapex, after beating that, was able to suppress. It had its ability suppressed by Slowking's Core Enforcer, which also beat Mega Aggron. I'll show you the so there's the Core Enforcer turn. Well, the turn before was the Core Enforcer turn. Mega Aggron died to a Core Enforcer. And then we get to the boosted Electrium Z Magnezone, which did half damage to the Latias, who was healing itself with Shore Up. Very unfortunate. And then came... Oh, that was also a Mineral. That's right. Oh, very unfortunate for Class. And then, of course, the cherry on cake here was Tapu Lele going for a Healing Wish. Was meant to click Toxapex because it kind of needed it more, but instead healed the Magnezone, which He tried to boost up its stats, got toxic in the process, lost the thing, but Latias gained the thing by a Spectral Thief, and then it was just Latias coasting off the end game for the win. Well done, Band Body Press. Poor Class. I feel bad for Class. He wasn't at 100% in this game. Hopefully next week he will be at 100%, but in terms of this game, there was not. It was just not there. So next up we have SS Cap. We have Vaporeons who replaced Earthflax, losing the concept, everything. Ooh. I remember Concept posted the Hurricane video, which kind of set the tone for this game while I was watching this. So, yeah, we've had some couple of instances where it could have gone to Vaporeon's way, but it was very clear from the off and off that Concept was going to, at least do better in this game than Vaporeons did. Well, Vaporeon still put up a decent fight. It was just that Concept Everything kind of had his number here. First of all, we have Zapdos, who successfully poisoned Renerigus, who missed multiple times at Will-O-Wisping, but rested off to heal the Toxic after Zapdos missed his Heat Wave, and prevented Future Sight by switching to Blissey, who poisoned Argonaut in response, after losing its heavy-duty boots. Well, then came some minor mishaps where the Runerigus got burned by the Heat Wave, which prompted a response. Okay. After missing all those Willows, he got burned in return by a Heat Wave. Then, Renerigus then got killed by Doom Desire and Earth Power by Equilibra, which kind of sucked. Indeed. Argonaut then got burned by Slowking's Flamethrower, which prompted a come the F on, or something. I don't know what I actually said. Oh, brother, can you stop? It was much more G rated than I initially thought. So, which prompted Blissey to just take it all in, just heal Bell it away to get the statuses off again. Running with the theme here that status effects was just all over the place. Not being before by Slowking Sludge Bomb, which is another status effect that eventually happened. Then came the MVP of this game, which was Venomicon, who nasty plotted, then stamina boosted, just to be a big old defensive machine, and then Hurricane and Body Press were its major moves, and he just dominated. Well, sort of dominated. Beat Argonaut for once, and then took out Equilibra, as you saw. And then, after Light Screen, after Clefable tried to set up the light screen, which was around here, Venomicon just went ahead and just Hurricane poor Clefable out of there, and took out Zapdos before the Weavile eventually killed it with a triple axle. So, Slowking was ultimately left for Vaporeon. Slowking was just there to just Sludge Bomb the boys away, and got a last minute crit Sludge Bomb on Argonaut, but Vaporeon's, the matchup was totally against his favor by that point, and it was just a win. A win for Concept Everything. Despite everything going against him, it's amazing how Concept still won. A very long game, very unfortunate game. And it's still the game we play. It's the game of Pokemon. Next up, we got the Usum RU game between the LBN beating Akaras, or Across, or a Karas. I don't know. So, this game was pretty weird. As a Gen 7 RU stood, I don't know. I don't know what to think of this game. So, first off, we got Reggie Steele waking up after one turn of sleep powder to set up rocks. Salazzle tried to catch a switch with Sludge Wave, to no avail. And Noivern ended up killing the fortress with a flamethrower. Mega Abomasnow then critted Mandibuzz and froze it for the time being, while Milotic tried to Toxic it twice. And by Toxic, I mean Toxic the Mega Abomasnow, eventually dying to its Ice Shard attempt by the Giga Drain. Whoops. Then turn 22 happened, where Roserade missed a crucial Leaf Storm to put away Miss Magius. Miss Magius coded eventually by Yostium Z. Rip indeed. And yeah, it was just Glalie shortly after surviving the Hex to go double edge to kamikaze it. And then Drapion ultimately killed the Salazzle, ultimately winning. This has been a game which was Gen 7 RU Stud. Stud approved. Next up, we have Oras UU, where Lyra replaced, Lyra, who was supposed to face Saru, got subbed out, and instead Esvalor took his place, and Lyra won. Lyra brought a pretty good team, while Esvalor brought, well, it looked like a sample, it smells like a sample, but I don't think that is a sample. Is it? Let me know in the comments below. So Esvalor versus Lyra. First off, we got Crocodile, who brought Empoleon down to 1 HP in the beginning, counteracting it by beating it with the Scald, only losing to Verizon the next turn. I gotta stop with the accent. Esvalor's Bien Shao got Scald burned by the Suicune. I can't help it, okay? So, forcing Esvalor to switch a lot until the Verizon caught the Crocodile to kill it with a Leaf Blade, taking itself down by the Rocky Helmet. There's the Scald Burn, as you saw. There's the Toxic by the Florges. And there's the Leaf Blade on by the Verizon on the Crocodile. And won the game. Well, it's not over yet, because the Suicune tried to go the sub Combine style strat, even surviving the Slowking's Psychic. And then just wasted it out, stalled it out. Just Toxic the thing. And caught the Mega Aerodactyl with a Scald. And then Mega Aggron just finished off the Metagross, while Flora just killed the Slowking for the victory. So, well done, Lyra. And I sound like a botchy redneck, but a botch-filled redneck, but there you go. Well done, Lyra. But I can't help it because her name's Lyra. Sorry, Lyra. Alright, next up, we have the Black and White Ubers game between the Breds. Okay, no. I gotta stop with the country accent because I'm gonna get offended. You have the bread sandwich beating the Neomon. Well, darn tootin', now there it is. Alright, so Neomon versus Bread Sandwich. Both players started off hazards, with Kyogre netting the first kill with a crit Scald on Deoxys, which was a very serendipitous first couple of turns right there. Trying to set up all the hazards very well, and then Deoxys kind of died. Ultimately, very well played there. Then Neomon tried to use Dark Void with Darkrai, was able to catch it, but Kyogre was able to sleep talk and counteract with it with a Scald. Very useful turn. Very useful to prevent bad dreams from removing any more of Kyogre's HP, or else Bread Sandwich would have been in trouble. Genesect beat Groudon with Ice Beam. A very lucky download boost right there. Try to beat the Groudon. Only losing to Neomod's own Genesect with the Flamethrower. And then came the Arceus fighting, which Toxic the Arceus Ghost was able to use Judgment and beat the Genesect to win the game for Bread Sandwich. Bread Sandwich had the matchup down very, very well. So that's what happens. And then next up, we have Dreepy versus RTM in the DPP 1v1, which was the last game that was played. Yes. So, yeah, Dreepy versus RTM. Game 1. We got the Rotom against the Cresselia. And then Rotom just kind of won against the Cresselia, but being faster and just 2 Shadow Balls. That's the analysis. That's all, folks. So, game 2, we saw Dreepy won this time, where even a Tyranitar can't escape the power of a good Leaf Storm Venusaur. Very well there. Game 3 was pretty interesting. You saw the Heracross versus the Aerodactyl play, and you'd think, oh, this fly is going to be a thing. Heracross ultimately loses there, but Heracross had Endure, which was nice. And he used Endure at the right time, was able to use the Custap Berry, use the Close Combat, and eventually beat Aerodactyl. Very good. Game 4, where we saw the Sceptile versus Heatran, and Dreepy employing a very, very good strat to beat. And you think, oh, by the type matchup, you saw Heatran beating the Sceptile, you know? No. So Heatran was able to do a Lava Plume. And then Sceptile was able to just stall it out with Leech Seed. Leech Seed Substrats were proving to be very useful. Even a rest-talking Heatran would not be able to beat a Sceptile. Unfortunate. And then game 5, where we saw just a big old blast. A big old blast of overheat by the Flaming Moltres against the Metagross. Well done, Dreepy. Well done, Dreepy. Thought you would lose this matchup, but it was a good win. It's a good win by Dreepy there. Next up, we have the Urban Dubwool versus Darmani Down. Darmani Down suffering their first loss. Darmani Down suffering their first loss. Well, when Dubwool can enjoy a tie in the first series and then a win here. Well done. Well, first off, we have Hex versus Miyoko in the first of the Gen 7, 8, 9 OU. It darn was the first game. I can't escape the country accent. It was one of the first games that were played. It was a fun little series. But I feel bad for Hex this one, and this first game was ultimately ended up being the catalyst for that. So Gen 7 started off with Hex beating a Landorus. It started off strong for Hex, but to be able to beat the Landorus with the Oko on the Ice Beam before dying to T-Tar's Mega T-Tar's Fire Punch. And then came bad times. Bad times for poor Hex. First, the Greninja got frozen on a hard switch before it got killed by the Flurry Cannon. That was already bad enough. However, we saw the Alakazam Moonblast, who damaged it, causing it to drop the special attack, and then just barely misses out on the kill. If it did not drop, Tapu Lele would have been out, and Alakazam would have just had Hex would have just had an easier time. You would just have an easier time with this one, but it wasn't meant to be. Kartana ultimately killed both it and Rotom, and it was nearly a near throw by Miyoko. However, Landorus, after Victini killed the Tapu Lele, Landorus was able to deal damage to Mega Titar, but then clicked SD twice on a Fire Punch, was able to beat it with Fire Punch, because he knew that the inevitable Victini was there, and he needed to kill off the T-Tar so that Victini could just be brought in, and then Kartana could just kill it, and ultimately Hex would win. Unfortunately, what had happened was the Tyranitar was able to live off the knockoff at 2% HP. I was able to kill it, which was mega unfortunate for Hex. So, I feel bad. I feel real bad for Hex on this one. Really could have had the win if things didn't happen. But unfortunately, some things just had to happen. Then Gen 9 came, and this wasn't much better, but Hex still got to at least mitigate a little bit of the bad taste in their mouth from the Gen 7 game. First off, the Deoxys Speed ended up red carding the Raging Bolt after tanking its Dragon Pulse. That was bad. Then, turn 14. Hex was in the lead comfortably too, beating Deoxys and the Great Tusk. Very nice. Thunderwave was able to escape that. King Gambit was over there. And then King Gambit was able to, use its superb tanking prowess and was able to use its Supreme Overlord to do significant damage to the Roaring Moon, who kept Dragon Dancing and roosting until it died to a crit on turn 14, punishing Miyoko for trying to stall out the King Gambit's Iron Heads. Then Terrifier Zamazenta dodged the Dragon Bolt's Will-O-Wisp attempt, and despite being paralyzed later by Clef, wasn't able to meant to be, because Dragon Bolt was crunched to kill Zamazenta, then crunched Dragon Bolt to kill it, and Body Press was able to beat the thing, even though the Sucker Punch did not kill the King Gambit. Oh no, the King Gambit's Sucker Punch did not kill the Zamazenta, fortunately, and was able to just Body Press it to death before losing. And then Iron Valiant came. Iron Valiant was a threatening thing. Was able to encore the Clefable, who was going for Calm Mind, and ultimately won for Miyoko. So yeah, Miyoko admittedly had a lucky win at games Gen 7, but at Gen 9, there were a little bit of skill there, but it was pretty much a Miyoko win by that point. So yeah, poor Hex. Next up, we have the best of 3 multi-gen OU between Jack Cuzler and Alpha 1013. And they started off with Gen 6. This was the first game that happened, actually. Wow. Alright, so we had the Gen 6 game, and we saw some things that happened early on between Alpha and Jack. First off, we had Tyranitar, who paralyzed Mega Venusaur early on. Amoonguss was able to whittle it down numerous times, and poison Chansey before it heal-belled. Then came some switchy shenanigans for a while, until turn 24, where we saw the Magnezone come in, and then switch back into a Mega Scizor. Whoops! Got trapped, hidden Power Fire, giving Jack the early advantage early on. And then not much really happens towards this point. I mean, there was the Excadrill who tried to sweep through against in the sand, or the sand rush. And yeah, turn 44 is another pretty notable moment where we saw Quagsire kill off the Excadrill after it tried to dominate a lot. Jack ultimately, before Alpha forfeited. So yeah, Jack won. It was a strong first showing by Jack. Gen 5 was a stark reminder that you're playing Pokemon, though. Where we saw just Yachiberry Landorus. Not really, they're really expecting it. So Garchomp was really expecting the Yachiberry from anyone, let alone a Landorus. So Hidden Power Fire was, Hidden Power Ice, I mean, was set. Garchomp tanked that. Went for Swords Dance. And yeah, against a potential Ferrothorn switched in, Garchomp was ready, even more ready, when using Fire Blast. Very good, to beat it with Earthquake. Very nice. Very, very nice couple set of turns there from Jack. And Starmie survived a Rotom's Volt Switch to rapid spin away rocks before dying to Sandstorm. And then Terrakion did a good thing, taunting the Landorus while it was trying to set up rocks. Then ultimately, switching out, surviving the Alakazam Psychic because of the boost from Sandstorm to be able to kill it with Stone Edge. And then came the end where Dragonite failed to kill Landorus, losing the Hidden Power Ice, but Jirachi was able to make good on its promise. And towards the end there, we saw the Latios got crit. It got crit. And ultimately lost for Alpha. Very unfortunate. And Jack won. Lucky win for Jack, but it was still a very good win. Regardless. Next up is Kamove Chaos between Vilcroc and Advita. And this is that game right here. Advita bringing the bog standard, I want to say. It looks to me that it's kind of the bog standard stall they use for Kamove Chaos now, while Velcroc, well, admittedly it looks pretty standard as well, but Velcroc actually has some minor changes that could potentially do it. I don't know. I just see this team a lot. This team composition from Advita's team a lot. Whenever I check out those Kamove Chaos games. So yeah, this one features the Mega Scizor setting up the Swords Dance against the Regirock, missing the Will-O-Wisp, which was very unfortunate, and then losing to the Dragon Dart shortly after. Advita then tried setting up hazards, while Velcroc had an Alakazam which did some damage. With a Mind Blown, was very, very functional, and was able to cause massive damage to Slowpoke and Galar. Was able to beat the Cresselia. And then Alakazam was further used to beat the Gliscor and the Gliscor shortly there, before Advita forfeited in a very short affair, which was very much decided once Velcroc knew what team that was. Well done. Well done, Velcroc. Was there ever any doubt? Next up, we have Ming versus Uta. And this SS Cap game, I actually have to give Uta credit. He seemed very in posture for this one, as opposed to what last week taught us. So, but Ming still netted the first kill with Revenant against the Zapdos, while Uta, shortly thereafter, netted his first kill with the Kartana against his own Zapdos. So Zapdos fell both early on both sides. Equilibra proved itself to be quite the useful machine, beating the Kartana before losing the Dragapult, who lost to Tapu Fini after. It was just a trade-off of kills. With Ming in the lead, Uta still has a chance to set up. Argonaut was then taunted, so he can't really use recover, and Heatran was able to kill it with cause damage to it. And then Argonaut, a little dose of luck here, missing or dodging the Poltergeist. Tapu Fini then dropped Lele's special attack with it, dying to the Heatrans. And then Tapu Fini finished off the Argonaut for Ming to wing and win. Alright, so that was that. Next up is Fiend vs. Gulch. Fiend vs. Gulch and Usumaru. Well. This had some pretty cool sets, I will say. And this is to be expected coming from, an RU leader. So, Fiend brought things where Roserade was able to tank the Mega Blastoise's Ice Beam, was able to beat Mega Blastoise with a Grass Knot, setting up spikes before dying to the Salazzle. Metagross then missed 2 Meteor Mashes against Diancie, which resulted in Diancie doing damage with first off, the Stealth Rock, which kind of angered Fiend a little, as you saw from the Mashy Mash. And then the Earth Power, which caused even more damage. And then, but it was able to kill Beware and Flagon, as you saw. Even tanking Flagon's Outrage there. Shaman continuously missed Seed Flares, losing to U-Turn from multiple Pokemon, and then Earthquake on the Flagon. Was able to seal that. And then Earthquake from both it and Metagross killed the Diancie, winning Fiend the game, winning comfortably Fiend the game. Fiend to win this win. Next up is UU, where Banbadoro beat Diancie Ratson. So, first off, we had Jellicent, who burned the Mamoswine, who killed it in return, while Crobat was able to taunt Napoleon to prevent from using rocks. So well done, Mal, for calling that. Mienshao then missed a high jump kick on Heracross early on. Made up for it, though. Made up for it a Bugaton later. Killing off the Empoleon, killing off the Mamoswine. Alright, first the Mamoswine right around here. Look at that nasty foot coming in Mamoswine's face. Empoleon also died to it. Then Mega Aggron proved itself to be quite the tank, beating the Mega Absol before tanking the Heracross's close combat in order to beat it with Heavy Slam, winning the game for Bao. Or Banbadoro. Next up, we had Shitrock Enjoyer versus Kazin. Well. There are some things that happened in this game. First off, we had Ho-Oh, who first beat the Scolipede after revealing EQ. Against T-Tar. That was a nasty Brave Bird there. And then sacked Fortress to let Excadrill in and killed Dialga with an Earthquake. Rapid spinning. Later on in the series, actually, as Excadrill lost its balloon. Then came Arceus Grass from Mr. Enjoyer, freezing Genesect, which then caused Kazen's Rayquaza to beat the T-Tar with Earthquake. And Arceus Ghost, using the Shadow Force to beat Excadrill. Genesect then thawed out at the most opportune time, actually, to explode, but failed to kill the Ho-Oh, which was very sad. Then Rayquaza followed it up with an E-Speed, though, to kill it. Kyogre then finished off Giratina and Arcus Grass with a nice beam. Kazin won Black and White Ubers. Very well. Next up is DPP 1v1, where Ami versus Stravinch happened, and this one was quick. First off, we got Zapdos beating the Honchkrow with a Thunderbolt on game 1 for Ami to take that win. Game 2, we saw Stravinch win this time, where Cresselia was able to click Calm Mind and was able to beat Swampert with multiple Psychics, even tanking that Hydro Cannon, which didn't do jack. Beating Ami losing that one. Made up for it though in game 3, where Choppa Berry critical hit. Ouch. Didn't matter. Heracross beating Empoleon there. And then we saw game 4, where Ami tanked the Metagross's Ice Punch in order to deal damage and beat it with a Heat Wave. Ami showing how formidable they are in DPP 1v1. Can they go against the big threats? We shall wait and see. And then last up but not least, where we have the Snivy of Spades beating General Lunala. Oh, how the dust has settled. First off, we had Gen 9, where we saw Memphis Depay. Well, actually, no, the best of 3 multi-gen OU, where we had Memphis Depay beating Wesley in 2. First off, we had Gen 9, where we saw the Samurott sucker punching itself to death via the Rocky Helmet to Great Tusk, which was very funny. Yeah, it was a very straightforward knockout there, as you saw. Really couldn't rapid spin the hazards away, though, for the Tusk, as it was left to switch out. Well, Goldango was switched in. Then Dragonite employed a low kick strat to beat the King Gambit. Wow, I've never seen low kick used that often, but it's a good King Gambit catcher upper. Slowking then used Psychic Noise to prevent Goldango from healing and using Recover to do its thing. Flamethrower finishing it off very nicely. And then we saw Terra Normal Gliscor version 2, Epic Boogaloo, where Slowking lost, and then Ogerpon lost. Gliscor Terra-ing against Ogerpon's Ivy Cudgel was a very cheeky way. And then Raging Bolt was left, beating that Terra Fairy thing by the Facade. Well done, Memphis Depay, for doing that. Next is Gen 8, where we saw Memphis Depay win again. So both players setting up hazards. It's a very common trend of people setting up hazards. Gee, it's like they wanted to get some sort of leverage, McCoy. Geez. Wesley tried to employ a sub-strat for Nidoking. Really to no avail. It really didn't do anything of significant or that note. Lost Ferrothorn to Clefable, which was very unfortunate. Then came Garchomp, who beat Nidoking with a nice Scale Shot. And after defogging hazards away and setting up his own rocks, Wesley's Landorus fell to Clefable's Moonblast, which then beat Urshifu before dying to a crit Shadow Ball. And then Bulk Up Zeraora just kinda carried. Blasted through Toxapex, despite burning it. And then Knockoff was able to crit it and make Dragapult will survive on 1 HP. But, yeah. Too ill for this, says Wesley. Oh boy. Yeah, Memphis Depay. Very dominant player so far in the multi-gens. Watch out for him. Next up, we have Dunox versus Waffle. It was a 3-game series, and we start with Kalos. Gen 6, both players started off the Hazards War early on. And then, after a certain point, Mega Metagross just came in and killed Skarmory with a Thunder Punch. Ouch. Dunox tried to taunt and stall out Clefable, with Gliscor, even taunting Waffle's own Gliscor to prevent it from Swords Dancing itself. Tornadus then beat Gliscor with Hurricane, while Latias tried tried to stall it with using the Calm Minds and, the Hurricanes, even though it got confused a couple of times, but it was trying. It was trying to stall out. Metagross, though, got a lucky break while freezing the Chansey with an Ice Punch. Gliscor then beat Clefable with Earthquake before losing to Mega Metagross's Ice Punch. And then Dunox avenged by beating Tornadus with his own. Latias, Calm Mind, Stored Power, beat the Ferrothorn, won the game for Dunox. Yeah, it was a close game. It was a really good close game from Waffle and Dunox. Gen 5 OU, we saw some other things that happened. Waffle's Magnezone first counteracted Hippowdon Sand by doing Sunny Day. Right here, Sunny Day Magnezone, and also, not only that, after its air balloon got popped, used Magnet Rise to escape the Earthquake attempt. Excadrill was then switched from a Thunder Wave attempt to Rapid Spin away the rocks very nicely. Skarmory then Whirlwinded Kyurem away into Magnezone, which was a very unfortunate turn for Dunox, because you're expecting, something else that can potentially illusion Waffle for the time being, but it sent out its worst possible thing and died to it by a crit Thunderbolt. Hippowdon then killed Excadrill while Kyurem beat Gliscor with nasty Dragon Claws. Able to... I can't believe Kyurem Black was that good in attack against the Gliscor. There's always been a defensive beast. U-turn Scizor was able to kill the Bronzong. And Waffle tried to use the Healing Wish by Jirachi to heal the Scizor of paralysis. Even though it's in full health, Jirachi was able to, not make Scizor that crippled all that well, giving himself quite the momentum boost after the fact. Latios then beat Dunox with Ice Beam, and Scizor O-code the Clefable with a superpower. Very nice. Leaving Hippowdon to suffer the same fate, well, technically the same fate, as he did during the first couple of turns of this game. Magnet Rise Magnezone, coupled the fact with Sunny Day, was able to do hidden power damage. I don't know if that's fire or something else. But it was trying to do damage before it got killed. Then Latios just finished it off with nasty Surfs. Well done. Well done, Waffle. Well done, Waffle, for pulling it back. And well done, Waffle, for beating Dunox in Gen 5. It's not easy. Gen 4, OU. We saw a couple of things happen. First of all, Starmie paralyzing the Rotom, leading to T-Tar killing it with a deadly pursuit. Eventually putting Waffle out of on. Starmie then rapid spin away hazards before dying to T-Tar's Crunch. And Breloom tried to spore Skarmory, who had Lumberry to heal itself off. Very sneaky, very clever. And then Waffle tried to sub-Focus Punch, which got Zapdos, who killed both Skarmory and Flygon with Hidden Power Ice. Also, that conversation, it was just people cheerleading for Waffle to win. But Waffle did put up a fight. I gotta give it credit to Waffle. He definitely put up a fight. But the final couple of turns kind of decided it, where we saw Zapdos beat the Skirmery, beat the Flygon within Power Ice. And then Lucario E-speeded to kill the Tyranitar, leading Jirachi to kill it with Iron Head. Then Gyarados came in, tried to set up the Dragon Dance, but Jirachi, it was up against Jirachi, who just flinched it, and flinched it, and flinched it, and flinched it, and flinched it in order to win. Gara wasn't winning anyway, and I have to agree. Dunox had more multiple months to take care of it, and yeah, that's very unfortunate. But credit to Waffle. Credit to Waffle for trying his damnedest to at least, pick up the scraps. Next up, we have Cam of Chaos, where the Hisui region defeated the L-Taker. Wow. Fall from grace from TPP? Unfortunate. But let's see what happened. First off, we had the L-Taker, Mega Scizor, missing a triple dive from the Hydrapple. However, made up for it by critting both Colossal and Regirock with U-turn and Dragon Darts, respectively. So, you win some, you lose some, tit for tat, and all. This was a long game. This was a very stally game. I mean, look at Hisui Region's team. Bro should honestly build, stall. He built stall, and now he has to build anti-stall to counteract his own stall, which he really seems to like. So, Mega Scizor was struggling to kill Regirock for a bit after multiple switching. Mega Scizor tried and failed to, kill off the Regirock with Dragon Darts, but was able to kill Blissey with a nice Dragon Darts attempt. Super effed up. That's exactly what Blissey was against the Scizor. Hatterene fully healing itself from Scizor's multiple strength saps. Those were good uses of Magic Bounce Hatterene. Ditto tried copying Mega Scizor at one point, but was critted by Hydrapple's Oblivion Wing, and THR also got critted again by Sceptile's Moongeist Beam against Colossal. So Hisui region was definitely feeling a little bit of shortcomings from there on. And after a good while, bro, this was just half of the game I'm showing you right now. I mean, this is good. I mean, it's a good endurance test for, both players to make it up until 200 turns. But look at the amount of things I have to skip, people. So Mon didn't die until 248, where THR was finally, after multiple things, was able to kill the Blissey. Let me just load for it to think. Yeah, 247 actually, where he was able to finally chip something off of the thing of L-Taker's team. And then the next notable turn came at number 256, where the anchor shot Sceptile died to Colossal. Colossal then managed to stall out multiple Mega Scizor before, the PPs already suffered all the way to the end. Yeah, it was running low. It was running low a lot, especially around these couple of turns. Look at that. Look at that length. Beautiful. Before Scizor eventually gave up because he lost triple dive. He had no room to kill the other Mons. And ultimately, L-Taker lost. And Hisui region won. Nothing else to say, but that was too long. Too long, in fact. History region, make your things long up. Make your games longer. Good advice, me. Alright, next up we have Dex versus two large gay men in SS Cap. So Dex pulled off some things that were kind of surprising. Really didn't feel like it in the first couple of terms because the two large gay men's tomahawk was on the rise to do the thing, but Dex's tomahawk, I mean, before he got killed by Melmetal's ice punches. But Dex kept the momentum strong, beating Argonaut after his special defense drop. Then survived Tornadus' attacks to beat the Melmetal very nicely before he lost it to the same Tornadus. Stratagem then beat the Tornadus with a Power Herb Meteor Beam. Also quite did the damage before to Equilibra before losing to that Flash Cannon. Then Carbolt, or Carrybolt, was able to use Double Edge and Galvanize to beat the Hitran and the Clefable in order to win Dex. There's a burp, because every McCoy video has to have a burp. Next up, I don't care what Pokeyard says, even if it's gross. Next up, we have Clementine, who beat Seth in Usum Ardu, and she did it with a sun. Well, part sun, because it was only Ninetales. Metagross was hard switched at one point to Mandibuzz's foul play. After a good first couple of turns, there was the foul play turn where Metagross kind of just went, whoop, there it is, leaving it to be sacked to Verizon later. Ninetales then killed Blastoise Mega with Fire Blast. Hariyama then survived a crit Sludge Wave to beat Nidoqueen with an Earthquake very nicely. Mega Sceptile then killed the Virizion with, Dragon Pulse very nicely. And then Mandibuzz was able to, stall it out for a little while until Clem decided to beat it after multiple roosts. Winning with a Fire Blast, ultimately winning. So Clem won. Poor Seth. Well, it was just a fortunate game. Next up, we had Oras UU, and oh my god, Toy Time King. We may have just found the king of Oras UU, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Against Lamina, who really didn't impress in this game. First and foremost, we had Cresselia, who paralyzed Blissey, who Toxiced in return, but Moonlighted, and even endured a crit Sludge Bomb from Roserade, which could have been disastrous. Was able to Moonlight off of that very nicely. Rox eventually killed Crobat and Cresselia. Roserade even survived a Draco Meteor from Hydreigon, which we'll play right here. Yeah, right around here. Was able to synthesis up, and ultimately, I don't know, after these 60 turns, Lamina, I just wasn't impressed. Toy Time King had the better team, had the better strats, and it was just a clean win for TTK overall. Nothing much else to say. Well, mostly clean. You get what I mean. But yeah. Next up, Madeline Morningstar defeating Society, who employed some interesting strats. First off, the Espeon, who tricked the Choice Scarf to make it look Choice Specs. The choice items were definitely switched there on turn 1. Madeline counteracted, though, by beating Ho-Oh with their own by paralyzing it. then brave birding it. Letting it die to a rocky helmet. Also, yeah, didn't you see there? Groudon, turn 8, used Fling to fling the King's Rock. Wasn't that lovely? Unfortunately though, the baton pass, definitely a nice passable switch there. Was able to magic bounce it away to Society's rocks on the other side of the field. So Madeline was really, speaking of things that really proved themselves, we saw Madeline here, who tricked Groudon's Choice Scarf away to die. It was a very nice sack. Another trick there from Choice Specs to Rocky Helmet, which was unfortunate on the Ho-Oh because, Sacred Fire and Brave Bird are physical moves. Espeon then bounced back the Thunder Wave attempt, allowing Groudon to set up the rocks comfortably, and then Dragon Tail. Then Arceus set up and E-speeded Groudon to death, while Smeargle, look at Smeargle here, now it makes sense why Espeon would have the Baton Pass set. Smeargle was trying to go for an ingrained Shell Smash attempt against a paralyzed Ho-Oh, but it was to move. It moved before it could even get the chance to do the Baton Pass thing. And Society failed, and Blaziken was able to beat Dialga with Low Kick, and beat Arceus with also a Low Kick, in order for Madeline to win. Well done, Madeline. Well done, Madeline. And then we come to the final, which was a 3-game series for Gen 4 1v1. Nuxel beating Burn in all 3 games. First game was a joke. It was Raikou versus Gyarados. You know what happens. Bam. Game 2, we saw Nuxel. This was probably the longest game here because the Scizor was able to the Bullet Punch, and the Bullet Punch ultimately did not do work for the Saver. I wish it did Superpower instead of Earthquake, but Superpower would mean that it would lose its defense a bit more, which would have been very unfortunate. Then Game 3, where I don't even know what he beat by. I assume it's Hidden Power Flying to beat Sceptile, but it could also be Fire, it could also be Poison even, it could also be Ice. You never know. You just never know. But Nuxel was able to beat Burn clean as a sheet and win Gen 4 1v1. So that was week 4. Week 4, wow, I skipped 2 weeks in advance. That was week 2, and yeah, let's take a look at the stats and see where we lie in the leaderboard. And the leaderboard says this: the Urban Double and the Radioactive Sliggoo Project, and even the Snivy of Spades, they all have the same record right now of 1-1-1. So they're sitting comfortably at the top position. I'd worry if I were the APOM Hiking Society. You need 3 weeks, but you're facing off against the Double and the Snivies at that point. So it's going to be a little harder for you guys, but hopefully this will be a bit better. Up Darmani down in General Lunala, I wouldn't worry right now, but you definitely should be worried for later. So here we go. This week is going to be very crucial, you guys. It is time for week 3, the mid-season, mid-March madness. So first off, we have the Snivy of Speed versus Up Darmani down. So there's playoff contentions from here on out. Well, not yet, but there'll be playoff contentions for later on. But, it's a nice little advantage. We'll get the next win in their series, or if they tie, they tie. Yeah, you get the idea. First off, we have best 3 Multigen OU Hex versus True Psycho. I've seen True Psycho play in the first week. Didn't do all that well against Lara, but now moving on to a tier that hopefully he should be more comfortable with. Against Tex, who was very comfortable in playing all these three modern OUs, but has had quite the bad luck last week. He did win against Akiras, but yeah, last week shows that, you could have a great week at week 1 and then you could have a shit week 2. But hopefully this should be a nice little calm down session for Hex. I have to really emphasize so I don't get demonetized. Hex wins. Hex wins against True Psycho. I think this will be a comfortable win. Hopefully this will be taken to a 3-game series, but who knows? Let's see what happens. Next up is the best of 3 multi-gen OU, where we got Dunox versus Alpha. I feel so bad for Alpha here. I'm sure, he's doing well. He's doing fine by what he's doing, but he's lost 2 weeks in a row in gens 4, 5, and 6. So I am not the most confident for Alpha going here. And he's facing off against ultimately one of the best players we've ever had. So Dunox should win this one. I'd be very surprised if Alpha takes the win here. But this should be a Dunox comfortable win. And this should, hopefully raise some stuff. Especially, hopefully, if Dunox does compete in BLT. We shall see. Next up, it's Camu Chaos, where we got Haha Gamer versus Velcroc. Camu Chaos is a weird beast. Velcroc's had a good week 1, but Velcroc has a good week 2, but not a very good week 1 because he faced BBP. Meanwhile, Haha Gamer, I hope this week will be the turnaround point for Haha Gamer because hopefully the worst is over for Haha Gamer, especially because he had to face Class in week 1 and then BBP in week 2. So hopefully, this should be easy. Maybe this is the turnaround point. So I'm going with L-Taker. I'm going with L-Taker to win, and hopefully the sets will be fun. Hopefully the sets will be fun between these two. Next up is SS Cap, Dex versus Utah the Clown. I'm going Dex here. I think Dex has proven to be quite the capable player. Utah the Clown, always been average to me, to say the least. Maybe, last week I may have a better opinion of him, but against Dex, though, I think Dex should have a comfortable win by this point. Because he's already 2-0 in this tier. Can he do more? Or will he do more? Who knows? Next up, we have Clem versus Gulch in Usum RU. Clem's doing pretty well. 2-0 in SMRU, Usum RU, actually. Well, Gulch has 1 win. Gulch has 1 loss. 1 against Neomon, lost against Fiend. So this should be interesting. This should be very interesting. I'm going to say Clem. Clem seems like the more comfortable pick. I wouldn't be surprised if Gulch wins, but this is a Clem victory for me. Who knows? Next up is Oras UU. We got Ray versus Banbadoro. Now, Banbadoro has proven out to see quite the commodity in Oras UU, turning out 2 pretty good performances against Seru and against the Aniratsun. Here against Ray, I think he'll continue the momentum, honestly. I think despite Ray being hopefully was switching from Black and White Ubers from week 1 going into Oras UU this time, I think Banbadoro is much more comfortable in this tier. I think Banbadoro, well, I did mention last week that he likes this tier, and, it's still proven to be true with his performance last week. So I'm going with Banbadoro on this one in a very comfortable way. Next up is Black and White Ubers. We got Madeline Morningstar versus Kazin. This one is a matchup I'm quite interested in because Madeline put up a pretty good performance last week over Society, while Kaizen's enjoying a nice 2-0 streak right now, despite being 5k price, winning against Ineros and S Enjoyer. This is quite the fun, and both players seem to know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they're doing it pretty well. However, for my money, I think I'm going Kaizen. I think I'm going Kaizen on this one, even though Madeline's performance was great, and I wouldn't be surprised if they take this one. I'm going with Kaizen, just to, just to see whoever wins. This should be a comfortable win for Kaizen. But we'll see what happens. Maybe Madeline can surprise us all by performing a great win. So here we go. Next up, we have Nuxel versus Stravench in DPP 1v1. Both players look pretty good, I think. Even though Stravench lost twice in a row, despite being 20Ks twice in a row, yikes, to both Ami and 3P. Nuxel, it's a 2-0 against 0-2. And if you think Stravench is the one, then going 0-2, I'd laugh, but here we are. Yeah, I think Nuxel should hopefully continue the momentum, so I'm going to pick them. But hopefully the Filipino boy will be able to win at least once. But this is a hard tier, and Stravench is experienced in it, but I think Nuxel's got him beat. That's just my thing. We'll see what happens. Next up is Radioactive Sliggoo Project versus General Lunala. It's the second place team versus the fifth place team. Lunala need a win, while Sliggoo needs a tie or a win to continue with their dominant lead. First off, we have Memphis Depay versus Howdy in the best of 3 multi-gen OU, which happened. And Memphis Depay actually won in 3. I would have picked Memphis Depay either way. This was a matchup I'm genuinely very interested in because both players have been showing up to work very well. Both have been very comfortable in this tier and know how to play the modern gen OU to a decent enough level. So comparing these two and actually pitting them against each other would be a nice scenery. But yeah, I was going to pick Memphis either way, so I'll take the W there. Hori, well, good. I think their play is just inferior to Memphis Depay, but only a little bit. Only a little bit. Next up is the other best of 3 multi-gen OU, where we got Blazing versus Waffle. I like Waffle's playing. Blazing, maybe could be on the up and up if he continues to hopefully play his best, which I'm not really seeing. I mean, both are currently 0-2, so I can't really fault them. So whoever loses here would look worse off coming into week 4 and 5. So I'm going to go Waffle on this one. There's no bias towards Blazing or against Blazing. But yeah, I just generally like Waffle's play a little more. So sorry, Blazing. Well, Waffle to win. Next up is Camu Chaos, where Class versus the Hisui region. Should be a highlight match. Should be a highlight match if you're one of those OMM people. This one is a fun one. Both players are very experienced in this one. I know from personal experience how THR likes to cook. And Class also likes to cook. So this will be just a war in the kitchen. War in the kitchen to see who can cook the most scrumptious meal. And I'd say the most delicious one has got to be the Hisui region. Yeah, I genuinely like their plays a little bit more than Class. However, Hisui region, hopefully you don't bring stall like you've been doing the past couple of weeks. Please. Actually, I want to see actual fast games from you. Try hyper offensive for once against Class. Maybe even do a best of 3 while you're at it. I don't know. Next up, we have SS Cap. We have Concept Everything versus Uwu. Don't I don't think we've seen Ooh yet. Oh no, we have. He lost to Ming in week 1. But Concept, I think, is a better player. Honestly, like SS Cap is his forte. Ugh. It's his forte, and he can comfortably beat. Well, I would think Uwu has potential. I'll do go traditional bets. I'm not gonna be betting, man. I'm gonna go concept everything. Next up is Usum RU, where we got LBN versus Seth. LBN is 1-1 right now. Lost to Clem, but beat Akaras. Seth's gonna be a little bit harder. No disrespect to Akaras, but I think Seth's a much harder opponent for LBN. So, maybe not on the level of Clem. I mean, we saw that last week, but yeah, this one should be an interesting one. So, I'm gonna say LBN. I think LBN and to win. Maybe it is betting man instinct of me to not go for Seth, but yeah, I'll go LBN. That's just what I thought. Next up is Oras UU. We got Lyra versus Toy Time King. I'm quite excited for this one. This about to be one of the highlight matches of the week. So I'm quite excited to see how these two fare because both are pretty good. And them along with Banbadoro, I think, will make Oras UU quite the tier to watch. So this should be a fun one. I'm quite excited for it. I think I'm gonna favor Toy Time King on this one because generally I've been a little bit more impressed with their stuff more than Lyra, but Lyra could easily win if given the chance. So I'm gonna go with Toy Time King. Next up is Black and White Ubers, where we got Bread Sandwich versus Society. Both are pretty good. Both seem pretty good in Black and White Ubers. Bread Sandwich joining a nice little 2-0 record for himself. Society 1-1, not bad, but that's to be expected. But yeah, this should be a fun one. I think the streak will be over. This is the first time I'll actually bet against the one who's perfect. I'm gonna go with Society here over Bread Sandwich. Even though Bread Sandwich is good, I definitely acknowledge the fact that Bread Sandwich is pretty good at the Black and White Ubers. I think Society should be able to handle him and bounce back from a crushing loss last week. And then we got the DPP 1v1 where we got RTM versus Burn. Wowie. Both players not looking the strongest, especially RTM, who's going into this with a bit more hype than Burn. Burn right now is 0-1, while RTM, oh my, 0-2, losing to Nuxel and Dreepy. So yeah, who looks stronger in defeat? Maybe RTM. We haven't really seen Burn prefer all that well, but at least RTM could prove that they can win at least a game. Hopefully this will be a 4 or 5 game series. I don't want these two to have a 3-game 1v1 series because this genuinely looks a pretty good matchup. But yeah, I think hopefully I'm not severely undermining this. I should go RTM for the win here. And maybe they'll win. Next one, or the last matchup, actually, we've got the Urban Devil versus the IPOM Hiking Society. APOM Hiking Society, or Apo Hiking Society, but Monkey. So, first off, the best of 3 multi-gen OU, finally. The middle thing gets picked. First off, these Miyoko versus Ineros, starting off with Gen 8. Not really been impressed by Ineros' playstyle. Meanwhile, Miyoko can definitely do good things. I'm gonna pick Miyoko. Miyoko's been impressing me, while Ineros not so much. Next up is Gen 3 Multi-Gen OU. Oh, Gen 3 Best of 3 Multi-Gen OU. I would be really surprised if Gen 3 was included here. Jack Cuzler versus Shing. I really like this matchup. Both players looked very strong going into weeks 1 and 2, and pitting them against each other should be a fight to watch. Hopefully this will be a 3-game series and no hacks, no bad matchup, just pure skill between both Jack and Shing here. Who to pick? I think I'm going Jack. Jack looks stronger than Shing did. That's not any discredit to Shing. Shing can definitely pull off some good wins. I mean, see last week, but I think Jack is a little luckier. I wouldn't say luckier. They do have the more semblance, the more skill than Shing, so I'm gonna pick Jack to win here. Next up, we have SV Cam of Chaos for the Advita versus Bandit Body Press, and this is like pitting a little ant against an elephant. Sorry, Advita. I think BBP is going to BBP, Bandit Body Press you. That sounded wrong, but Bandit Body Press to win. Next up is SS Cap. We got Ming versus Earth Flax. Didn't really got impressed by Earth Flax in week 1, so... But Ming, though, is a pretty good player. So it's a comfortable pick. I'm going with Ming. Ming to wing. Next up is Hyperbole. Hyperbole in Usum RU. Hyperbole versus Notator. I'm sorry, Hyperbole. Notator is really good. Yeah, Notator, one of the stronger players that you've seen. If you saw tours, they regularly compete in RU specifically, and Notator usually dominates those. So I wouldn't be surprised if they win here. So I'm picking them. Notator to win. Next up is Fiend versus Seru in Oras UU. I really hope Seru turns in a good performance here. He's been kind of chilling with his playing against Mal in week 1, so I'm not really... I don't see the killer instinct that I once saw when he was playing Monotype. Meanwhile, Fiend's been doing well. Fiend's been doing pretty well for himself, being one of the star players in Urban Double, going 2-0, beating Seth, beating Gulch. So, moving to Oras UU should be interesting. I really hoped it would have been Fiend versus Notator, but, it's the lineups that decide, not me. I'm going Fiend. I'm going Fiend because UU is similar to RU, and that's what I just decided. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But, Fiend to win. Fiend to win, basically. Black and White Ubers, a welcome guest versus Neomon in Black and White Ubers. I don't really know who welcome guest is, but they look nice. The profile looks nice. Neomon, old gens player, been around since 2017. They know Black and White Ubers all too well. I don't really know how to gauge their styles a little bit. So it should be an interesting matchup, but I think I'm going Neomon just purely off of experience. And then we saw Black best of 5 deep P1v1 AM versus Dreepy. AM, very established player. Dreepy, very good up-and-comer. Dreepy's been enjoying some success here in DPP 1v1, always coming up with come-from-behind wins. And it should be a nice little journey for Dreepy with another come-from-behind win, beating Stravention RTM in come-from-behind victories. AM, though, I think should be able to snuff it out. Hopefully, this will be a good performance again by Dreepy, and if he does, it will be another come-from-behind victory. But I think AM will take this one. Sorry, guys. I think I'm going AM. So that's it. That's it for Week 3 predictions. Thank you guys so much for watching. I need to drown out my voice now in cold water. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like this video, leave a comment, like and subscribe. Click that video, click that bell so you wouldn't miss a video once it comes out. And we'll see you next week when we talk about Week 3 recap and Week 4 predicts. This has been Mikoy, signing out.